You're now listening to Directing Magic with your host, Marquette Jones.
So, Jackie, tell us about you in like 5 minutes or less. How did you become the extraordinary filmmaker that you are today?
Oh, that's a big one.
5 minutes or less.
Well, it's going to be really, really quick because I don't like really talking about myself. So I will say that I came to filmmaking because I was born a writer, and I say I was trained as a director. But I've always had a acute sense of visual storytelling. And post-undergrad, I moved to Los Angeles, and I discovered screenwriting. Mm-hmm. And it was something that I never, ever heard of before. It was, something that just wasn't in my...
In your what?
It was just something that was just not in my world. I didn't know that there was a such thing called a screenwriter. And when I discovered that, I started writing screenplays, absolutely horrible screenplays, but I was writing them all the time. And I decided that I didn't want to just be the writer, that if I was going to tell a story, I wanted to be the one behind the camera to tell it myself. And that's how I ended up in film school and later directing. So I've always had
Where did you go to undergrad?
I went to a really small school called Washington College.
Okay. So you're making faces because it's too personal?
No, it was just not, I didn't have a wonderful experience at that institution. Mm-hmm. It was very isolating. It wasn't very diverse. Mm-hmm. Many of the students there, they had never really interacted with people of color that weren't their hired help. And it was challenging because I used to write a lot in undergrad as well, and it'd be interesting to have something that I wrote dissected in a way where I was supposed to be explaining the dynamics of the characters who were Black or American history to the people who were not aware of basic American history. That, instead of my work being something for you to read and enjoy,
you had to take it back to the basics practically every time.
Mm-hmm. And I was always a person that was deep into books. And I used to stay at the library after school in high school for hours using their computer to write and reading their books. And, so that my history of writing really brought me into storytelling.
And what made you decide to move to LA? Like, why'd you pick Los Angeles?
When?
The first time.
I had family here, and I didn't want to go back to Colorado. Mm-hmm. And so I moved out here and moved in with my grandmother for a few months. And then I took a job with a nonprofit for a year. And then I did not like Los Angeles. And I was like, I'm going to New York. And this is before I got into NYU. I was just like, I decided I was going to go to New York. So I found a fellowship to apply to. I applied to the fellowship, and I got it. And I moved to New York not knowing one person in the city.
What kind of fellowship?
It was New York City's Urban Fellowship Program, and it was a fellowship that was designed to get, as they called it, America's best and brightest into city government.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was really, I was in, my year of fellows had some amazing, brilliant people in it that have done wonderful things since, who really believed in public service. And that experience taught me that I did not belong in government. And it also taught me that I did not belong in the quote-unquote real world.
Not the 9-to-5 world?
Not the 9-to-5 world. But it was a great experience. I met some amazing, brilliant people, and it introduced me to the city of New York. And then
made you decide to apply to school in the city as well?
Well, I knew, NYU was the only school that I applied to. Mm-hmm. And I was going to apply before, when I first got there, but I decided to apply the second year that I was there. But I didn't want to come back to LA because I didn't like LA at the time. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, you know what? I want to go to school in New York. And I liked how NYU, everybody made films from the moment that you entered into your first year. And I said, well, if I'm going to go to film school, I'm going to make movies. So NYU was my one and only choice, and I'm glad that, I wanted to go to school in a big city, a multicultural city, a very vibrant city. And
what did you, when you first started, what type of movies did you think you were going to make?
There wasn't any, I never saw myself limited in regards to genre. I knew that I wanted to create spaces for Black women in cinema where we could be multi-dimensional characters and have full lives, and that my stories would not be would center people of color, particularly Black women, and it wouldn't be a response to dominant culture.
But how did you get to that place where you understood even the idea of being in response to dominant culture?
I would say, again, I was a big book nerd in high school. And high school, I discovered some African-American writers in middle school, but high school is when I really was able to branch out and, see all these different authors that dealt with a Black experience, or people who are Black who just happen to have an experience. And that's also because we're humans, and, our experience is peppered by our culture, but it's not limited to it. So that helped. And then in college, I was exposed to Toni Morrison and undergrad. She continues to blow my mind. I love her. I love you, Miss Morrison. You are a genius. You are everything. And even though her work, really centered Black people and Black women. Even Beloved, even though it deals with the horrible tragedy of people being enslaved and treated like animals, Setha is still the center of it, and it's still her story. And, I never, there are stories where, I'm a big period piece person, so there are some stories that deal with, what's going on?
Stories that deal with?
Oh, hell, I lost it.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to turn up the mic just a little bit.
Okay, so this is how you turn up the mic.
Yeah.
I lost that train. So you just have to cut that out.
I'm not cutting anything out. I will cut out that part because whatever, we're talking about microphone levels.
You have to cut your podcast.
Of course, girl, of course. I'm going to edit somewhat.
And keep in mind, she's recording the good sound on my Zoom.
Yes, the Zoom is popping. I'm like, I love this thing. And she's like, oh, girl, get you one. It's $300 something. But I'm on it. I'm in it.
So anyway, it's like my experience with the books that I loved and the stories that I wanted to tell was never in response to whiteness. I
asked that because I remember in film school when I saw To Sleep with Anger, that was my watershed moment in really, really understanding and seeing a movie that was completely not in relationship to white people at all. And it felt so different and so amazing that I was like, oh, aha. We had a great education at NYU, but I can count on one hand how many films I watched with Black people in it while we were there. So anyway, sidebar.
But even the films that, some of the films that I absolutely love, deal with, the people as people. You know what I mean? It's never because you're white, you're going through this, or you're Asian, you're going through this. And those are movies that really interest me because what is it about the character? There's certain things that are specific about each character that inform what's going to happen to them and how they behave, but it's not the overwhelming theme of a movie. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, because you're black, you're going through the struggle, and everything is defined by you being the other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I do. And I have to correct myself. It's Killer or Sheep. It's not.
Oh, Killer or Sheep.
Yeah.
Killer or Sheep. Killer or Sheep.
That was the one. Oh,
yeah.
Same director, wrong movie. Anyway, so you are not tied to any particular genre, but is there any particular genre that you're excited about right now? That you're writing right now?
You know, like I play with genre. Like I have a feature that is a thriller that I'm excited about. My digital series is a drama which we're going to talk about. I'm working on a comedy. I think drama probably is the most. It's very easy for me. Mm-hmm. Drama is very easy for me, but drama with painful humor. I do painful humor very well, and I really want to explore horror.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But you know, I like European horror, like the orphanage, like that psychological horror, and that you know, stuff that you're like, that could really happen, you know.
See, I don't like any of that. My mom used to make me watch horror movies with her when I was a kid. I still have scars. Like, I can't. But anyway, that's like aging myself when I tell you the type of movies, like The Exorcist or whatever. Like, I'm like, I really thought somebody was going to come.
Oh, yeah.
And make my head spin. And it was not cool. But... so in terms of you with the painful humor, I saw like there's an episode you did or you are doing a web series called Compersion, which can you just give like the brief synopsis of what that's about?
Yes, I can. Compersion is a digital series about a couple who's been married for 15 years. And the wife decides that she wants to open up their marriage and explore polyamory. So the series follows this family into this new journey of...
What's polyamory?
I'm glad you asked. Polyamory is the ideal that you could have more than one romantic love. Mm-hmm. And it's a different relationship style. Mm-hmm. So the couple was monogamous where it was one-on-one. And now they're open, so, you know, the wife could have a boyfriend, the husband could have a girlfriend, and what other configurations they might come up with in the future.
So when I was watching it, like it's pretty dramatic, and then there's a point in which I just bust out laughing and could not stop laughing through the whole scene, and I was yes. And so there's this one scene where I'm just like, I don't know if she means this to be funny, but this is hella funny right now. Yeah. Like, and so I wondered, was that intentional?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, because it's we're talking about episode 5. You guys haven't seen it. It's Rendezvous Part 2, and it's when Keena, who she's the wife of the series, she's having her very first date, and the husband wants to meet the gentleman that she is going out with. Mm-hmm. And absolutely,
it's so funny. Like,
and the beauty, it's played straight.
It's played completely straight, and that's why I was wondering, like, did she? Because this is like, like replay.
It was meant. Yeah, it was definitely meant to play up the complete awkwardness.
Yes.
Of what that might look like when your husband, for you guys who haven't seen it, I hope I'm not giving any spoilers, is not really on board. On board. And what happens when there's a man that comes into your home that wants to take your wife out? Like, what does that look like? And, you know, it is one of my favorite episodes because I love the testosterone in the room. I love Keena's awkwardness. I think Jamie, Derek, and Karama did such an amazing job. It was definitely meant to awkward. Like,
completely realistic the way it was shot and all of that, but it's just the awkwardness of it. Like, it's just you want to laugh to kind of like break up the tension.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great scene.
Thank you.
So you're doing Compersion right now. How far along are you in the series?
We just had episode 9. What's today? Last week, Wednesday of last week, episode 9, called Superman. Derek has some new developments. Joshua has some new developments with this. So we're more than halfway through. We have 10, 11, 12, either 3 or 4 more episodes. I get lost. Okay. So it's either 13. I think it's 13 episodes in the first season.
Mm-hmm. And are you writing season 2 already?
I am. So I'm a schizophrenic when I write. So there's bits and pieces. So I have 4 pages of one episode, and then I might add 1 page of another episode, and then I have a general beat sheet of where I want the show to go in season 2. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a lot of free time to really get into the nitty gritty of writing. As soon as the first season wraps, I'm gonna get into the nitty gritty of writing that and another project that I hope to.
And how, in terms of your writing process, when you have the space to really get into it, what is your process?
I write.
Okay. For those of us who have trouble staying focused, what advice would you give the regular human beings who are trying to write?
To write, because that's all it is. It's
I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, but you have to, I'm a writer, and so I've been writing, and I write less now than I used to, because I'm multitasking and doing other things, but I'm a writer, so I sit down and I write. And, I don't have a process I go to a hotel like Maya Angelou and I take my bourbon and I write,
Speaking of inspiration, what was your inspiration for Compersion? But just get it out of the way. Was it based on personal experience?
Yes and no. So I met someone who was polyamorous who wanted to date me, and I was like, what the hell is polyamory? I don't know what that means. And he was like, I'm married, but I have a girlfriend. I was like, yeah, what planet? Earth? And he's like, yeah, call my wife. Here, talk to her.
Wait, you called the wife?
This was years ago before the term was widely used or known. And the idea of it fascinated me. I was like, I need to do a show about this. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be on HBO, and it was going to be long formatted. Mm-hmm. HBO has not called yet. So I was like, this is interesting. So, because I was like, to be married to someone, and then for you and your wife to be able to have relationships with other people, how do you, keep one relationship healthy and intact, and then all the jealousies that you experience there, and the insecurities and the love and whatnot. And then it's still, at the heart, a family, because my show is about a family. Mm-hmm. It's a family drama, and there's going to be more things going on than their journey to Compersion. It's essentially a family drama with a kick. So that's what the inspiration came from.
Mm. And when you had the conversation with the wife, what was...
I can't even remember.
You remember your first question for her?
No, I don't remember.
I find it fascinating.
It was fascinating, and she wanted open marriage. So, but it wasn't nothing hidden. They were just very open about it. They weren't swingers, so it wasn't about sex. Mm-hmm. It was about long-term relationships.
It's for me, since I've been in Los Angeles, I've met at least 4 couples that had something like this, either swinging or polyamory. I know they're different, but where the relationship was open in some sort of way. And I'm just wondering, is this a new, are we moving into a new phase of relationships, or what's really going on?
I mean, I don't have the answer to that. I don't have the answer to that, but I think maybe I think maybe more open about it. Mm-hmm. I think there are people who are in polyamorous relationships who don't know it.
That I have seen and known and been in. maybe not that, probably.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were people who were polyamorous back in the day, but it just wasn't a part of the lexicon. It wasn't what we were talking about. So now it's more in the forefront. And I think, swanging, one person who's a polyamorous told me that, swanging is more of an activity. Mm-hmm. It's not a love style. So you could have an open marriage and not be polyamorous. Mm-hmm. Because in polyamory, the ideal is to build relationships. Love relationship. Like, I love you and I love her and we're in a relationship together. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just, you're not monogamous, but it's about relationships, not just the sexual act.
I see. It's super interesting. When we were in Philadelphia for the Black Star Film Festival, one of your actors, your lead actor,
Jamie Patton was there, and she had so many fans at the festival. Like, people were like, "I know you. How do I know you?" And like, it was wild. Like, I saw it happen 3 times, and I'm like, "Jamie, like, you're a superstar." And she was like, "Girl, like, it's tripping me out." Like, she didn't deny it. She was just like, it's a thing. And I'm like, wow. So you really are building an audience with this that apparently is like across the nation, if not further. And that's awesome, because I'm glad to be building an audience. I want more. Subscribe, watch. It's a good show. It's entertaining.
How do they find it on YouTube?
Enchant TV. You could just type in Enchant TV and the show pops up, or you could type in Compersion. We're usually on the first page of a Google search for videos.
Oh, cool.
And Enchant TV, we usually have the front page of Google, so you could come right to us, and you can follow us on The Enchant T at Instagram and Twitter. To keep up with all things Compersion. We also have some other shows coming out later. But back to Jamie. Jamie is amazing as Keena. I could not have asked for a better actress to bring her to life. Like, she really does a superb job. She's very talented. All the actors, Derek and Karamu and Lauren and Sasha and Alexis, who play the daughters, are all very talented and have been an absolute pleasure to work with. They're all wonderful. But I'm glad Jamie got some love, because she worked very hard. I worked her like a indentured servant, and she really.
What was the hardest thing with the collaboration with her in terms of was there a section where you guys had challenges in terms of meeting what you had on the paper, or?
I think the most challenging thing was her and Derek's sex scene.
The opening scene? Mm-hmm. Oh.
Like, because, they were friends, and, they were like, oh, gosh, I think particularly Jamie was like, okay, we got to have the sex scene, and their relationship was so, they've known each other for like, I don't know, maybe a year or two, and it was just funny because they were like, okay, we got to do this. It's like kissing your cousin. I think that was probably, and then everybody's in the room, and I think that was one of the most challenging episodes. But I think it was also challenging the amount of material that they had to learn in a short amount of time, because I was still writing before we shot, and then I was sometimes writing during the shoot, because that's what I do, because I'm crazy. But the amount of pages, I was like, well, I don't have the episode, you'll get the episode in 2 days. And the amount of pages that they had to commit to memory, and then not only commit to memory, but then you have to get out there and you have to act them out. And we were shooting every day.
How long was your shoot for the series?
We shot 9 days. We shot 7 days the first time around, then we did 2 days of pickups. So we shot, maybe like 15 pages a day.
15?
We was moving.
Wow.
Most days. And, it might have been, I think probably, we might have had 1 half day where we did something small, but most of it was like we were shooting 2 episodes a day.
So what made you decide to shoot a web series? With that amount of material, you could have made a feature film.
Because I was interested in serialized content.
Okay.
and wanting to. I'm really interested in doing television. Okay. So I really, in addition to making features, because I'm a filmmaker at heart, and I love horizontal framing and lush and beauty. Mm-hmm. But I really wanted to be able to tell a story over a longer period of time, right? And really doing something aesthetically that was more television than film.
Mm-hmm. Although I think, one of the questions that I have for you is, how do you maintain quality, what filmmakers consider quality, in a digital format?
You mean digital series or shooting digital? Well,
format meaning like for YouTube and having to cut it up and move and shoot 15 pages a day and all of the...
Well, I think, for me, like I am anyone who knows me well knows that I'm an aesthetic whore.
This is what I'm saying, but didn't want to say. like I know Jackie, and this is amazing. So anyway, go ahead. You know what I'm saying now.
Yeah. So I'm really a person big on aesthetics, and I really like pretty shit. Mm-hmm. And Compersion is pretty. I think the most important thing that helped me do that was, even though we had a small crew and I wore like a bunch of damn hats, and I continue to wear a bunch of damn hats, the crew that I had, especially the key crew that I had, came from a background of cinema. Mm-hmm. And my cinematographer, Bruce Francis Cole, is absolutely amazing. Bruce Francis Cole. And
where can we find Bruce Francis Cole?
BruceFrancisCole.com, I think is his website. Mm-hmm. Just type in Bruce Francis Cole, he'll come up somewhere. And we had collaborated before on some things. And so I went to him about the show, and I was like, well, this is what we have. This is how many pages. And so we started talking about ways to shoot something in a small amount of time, but also have something interesting and dynamic about it. And Bruce was like, you know what? For this to be something that I want to do, I think we should shoot anamorphic. Mm-hmm. And I was like, anamorphic? And then was also designing the shots. We're like, okay, if we're going to shoot this many pages, this amount of time, we need to not shoot with the tripod most of the time. Mm. So most of the time it's handheld, but it's not, it's very stable handheld, but we couldn't use the tripod because the tripod is heavy, it takes time, and we were like running through the shots. Having actors who do their homework and you don't have to do it for them. Mm-hmm. So we could block, we don't have to spend 100 years getting them to know what their character's about. And we rehearsed a bit, we rehearsed maybe 2 or 3 days before we shot. And Bruce is amazing. Again, without him, it would not have been as beautiful as it was. He and I both have a love for impeccable framing. Mm-hmm. And it's great that, Bruce, we have I think a similar visual language. I'm very poetic. Cool. And so his instinct is also very poetic. Mm-hmm. So it's funny because he would have a shot and I'd be like, and before I could tell him adjust that, he would adjust it. Nice. Because I'd be like, you need to, and he'd be like, I'm already on it. You know what I mean?
That's nice. It sounds like an awesome experiment as a filmmaker. You gave yourself some fantastic practice. That's only going to help for whatever's next.
Yeah, it was great. I've shadowed on a show. And
what show?
Madam Secretary. Mm-hmm. And with amazing Eric Stoltz, who's just so awesome. Love him to death. Great director. Amazing actor. I tell him I want to get him in my show.
The 80s.
Well, he was born before the 80s.
Well, but wasn't he in the John Hughes movies or something?
He was in one, but I love him from Mask.
Okay.
And he was in one of those movies that I didn't see those. And he was also in Pulp Fiction as the drug dealer that John Travolta brings Uma Thurman to. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He's like, wrong number. He's an amazing actor. I love him to death.
So you shadowed him.
I shadowed him. And TV is network TV. Like, each show has their own, pace, but network TV is incredibly fast. Mm-hmm. And you go in, you block, they put the lights in, you bring your people back, and you shoot. I've seen, and it's a lot of coverage on certain shows where I was just like, God, that's a lot of coverage. 15 shots, and then it'd be 30. And I'd be like, Eric, that's a lot of coverage. He's like, network, they like things to cut to. Mm-hmm. And just to see how fast they move and how you have to adjust quickly. Mm-hmm. You got to move. You got 60 pages to do in 8 days. You are moving.
Wow.
And that was a good thing to see, because I'm like, the next one, like when we're doing longer format episodes, hopefully, it's going to have to be that pace. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to keep up that pace in order to get everything in the can and, release it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And it was a great experience to see. I was just like, you asked for a circle bed and you just get it 2 days later? I was like, oh my God. You asked for a blue couch and it just appears. I was like,
this is where I'm meant to be.
I was like, and it just comes so quickly and you're shooting it. I'm like, oh my God. It was just such an amazing experience, because we're independent filmmakers. You want a blue couch. It's like, well, you might have to settle for this red one because this is the one we found for $2 behind a garbage can. Make it make sense. And, how long it takes to make an independent project when you ain't got no money. Mm-hmm. Which I think holds a lot of us back, especially from NYU, because we have a different idea of filmmaking. Sometimes I'm like, we got to catch up to the present.
But what do you think about that? Like, what are the main things that we need to catch up on as independent filmmakers in a quickly changing world? You're like, let me count the way.
For myself, a thing of just doing it, and it's hard for me because I'm like, I want it to look a certain way. There's certain images that I want to portray, and I want it to be beautiful. Mm-hmm. I mean, Zhang Yimou is like my favorite filmmaker, one of my favorite filmmakers on the planet. Mm-hmm. And so when I think of movies, I think in terms of that as a visual landscape.
Who were you saying?
Zhang Yimou. Mm-hmm. House of Flying Daggers. Jadot.
Oh, okay.
The new movie with Matt Damon that people are upset about. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I was like, Matt Damon, who cares about him? I'm like, Zhang Yimou is brilliant. But I think, for all the talented people that I know, whether it's shooting on an iPhone or GH4 and whatever, we just really have to get out there and do it. The story might not be perfect. The visuals might not be ideal at all times. But, I think we are missing out on that train that is moving.
I have to say I agree with that.
And there's so many talented people I went to school with that are not doing anything. And I so appreciate the people who just go out and do it. It may not be the best thing. It could be horrible. But they're like, I don't care. I'm doing it. And
then the next thing you know, we're like, hey, you're on the panel.
Right. It's like, hey, go, and I appreciate that. And then the thing also is to remember that you're not making things for filmmakers. Mm. You're making things for audience who are incredibly forgiving. Mm-hmm. A filmmaker's taste is a filmmaker's taste, but your audience, they want a story. It doesn't have to be a magnificent story. It doesn't have to be perfect. It could be okay. Just touch them in some way. And I think that we think it has to be perfect. We meaning me, because that's I shot a fucking web series on Red with anamorphic lenses because
that's Red camera, which costs a grip load of money.
It was treated like it was like,
and you hired a cinematographer as opposed to a videographer.
I hired a cinematographer, but all I know is cinematographers because that's my background. Mm-hmm. Like I know people who know how to light, and frame things, and which is great because it allows us to move quickly. And if I have someone who has the same aesthetic sensibility, and the 3 director of photographers that I've shot with, Bradford Young, Bruce Francis Cole, and Brian Rickney Hubbard, are all very poetic cinematographers, and we speak the same language.
Let's see, all-star list.
You know, so it's like I don't have to, even though I'm always looking at that frame, to the left, but I could trust them. Like they're going to, for the most part, they know what I want. And then if I don't know what I want, they're bringing great ideas to it, and they're working hard.
So, if you had to give advice to a new filmmaker right now, you're not supposed to look at my questions.
I didn't see that. I'm like, my eye is drawn to it. It's action. That's just a natural thing. Okay, and the paper is white.
But no looking at the question.
I don't have my eyes on.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay, then we're good. So, so if you had to give advice to a younger filmmaker that's just starting out, what would you say to them?
I would say pick up a camera, find some collaborators, and shoot.
And how do they find collaborators?
I mean, well, I found them in school, but you can find them everywhere now. You can post online. You see what other people are doing. Friends. And then, you know, if you're doing low budget stuff, you're shooting with your 5D and you need somebody to record sound, you just find and just start shooting. I mean, when we were in film school, we couldn't do that. You had to get a camera, you had to get insurance, you had to get the film that cost the grip, you had to process the film, then you had to put it up in the theater. You didn't have YouTube and Vimeo and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these different distribution models. Like literally your iPhone. People are shooting movies on their iPhone.
What do you think about what do you think is next?
You know, they're going to put chips in our eyes, and that's how we're going to shoot movies. Who in the hell knows?
You know what?
The Google Glass.
We're not even far from it right now.
Google Glass cameras. You know, I mean, from what I hear, virtual reality is the next big thing.
Have you played with virtual reality?
I want to. I was talking to Bruce about that, about playing with that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like I have to research that to understand it, because I don't at the moment. So
it's on my list of things to do also. My wonderful list of things to do.
A wonderful list of things to do.
Okay, so then just a couple more questions for you. Stop looking.
I really can't read it. I'm just telling you, your handwriting is
atrocious. Is that what you're going to say?
And I don't have, it's just the action. For you guys out there, Marquette has a little notebook, and she's looking at me, and then she turns her notebook, and she flips open the notebook. Your eye is just drawn there because it's a moving action. It's just automatic.
Okay. So pop culture, things that are happening in the world right now.
Oh, gosh. And scene. Woo, yes.
Okay. I'll start off light. Southside with You. Have you seen it, heard about it? What do you think about it?
I have not seen it. Of course, I've heard about it for a very long time, but I have not seen it yet.
It's out.
It's out?
It just came out.
Okay.
But, it'll be out for a couple of weeks by the time this gets aired. But, yeah, it's out.
Okay, so by the time this gets aired, I probably would have seen it.
So how about... okay.
How about what? I'm waiting. What?
Nate Parker.
What is the question?
Are you gonna see the movie?
Absolutely.
Are you?
Absolutely. I'm going to see Nat Turner, Birth of a Nation. Absolutely, 100%. The first weekend I'm going to be there. I've been looking forward to seeing that movie, and I will be seeing it.
So none of the stuff that's come out about his past is affecting your desire to see the film?
No, it's not. And I've been talking, I really want to see this film. And it's an interesting space to be in because I'm really trying to... He was acquitted of rape. He was found not guilty. And his friend was found guilty, but then, I guess on appeal, he was acquitted.
Technicality? Continue.
I don't know. I'm my thing's like, I think there's some inappropriate shit that was happening. And I don't...
You mean between the guys and the girl?
Right. I mean, from what I've seen, I think, there was some tomfoolery going on. And I don't take rape lightly. And so and I think it's a challenging space to be in, because I'm not going to convict someone for something that happened 20 years ago for the rest of their life when he was acquitted of it. So I don't know how, there was a trial.
Right.
I don't have the trial transcripts.
They're out there.
I read part of it, but I didn't see the full,
right,
how long the trial was, those transcripts, right? I wasn't on the jury. I wasn't there, and I was looking for those transcripts. I didn't see the full on. I saw part. I saw just the one friend who was like, I'm not going in there. I saw his testimony. That's all I saw. Have you seen the full transcripts?
I'm not reading all that stuff.
I would be the one to read it all. But I'm just trying to feel how... I don't know what the right response is. If it seems like there was some inappropriate shit going on. He maintains his innocence, and he was found not guilty in a court of law.
And that should do it.
And I'm like, I don't understand. And then he's expressed remorse about his behavior in the situation. I mean, I read some statements.
Okay.
No, where he said, I acted inappropriately as a 19-year-old. This judgment as a 35-year-old I wouldn't do.
Okay.
I mean, but he's not going to admit to... He maintains his innocence in the situation.
Yeah.
So it's really I'm not jumping on any bandwagons of not seeing... There's no reason I would not see Birth of a Nation. If he was out in these streets talking about... he wasn't expressing any remorse at all, and he was like, yeah, and if he was
and
saying
I do it again,
right, I do it again, and my behavior was justified, and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, if he was convicted and was like, so what, that's something different. But it's really interesting, it's and if he was convicted of the crime and a serial raper, but he was found not guilty in a court of law. And I'm like, I don't know, and I know plenty. There's been people who were found not guilty who were guilty, and people who were found guilty who were innocent throughout our justice system. But I am not boycotting the film. I don't know him personally. He was found not guilty. I'm someone who is an advocate for women's rights. I'm extremely passionate when we talk about sexual violence against women and against girls. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I don't believe women are raped, or I don't believe her. But I think it's a tragic situation. But he was found not guilty. So it's interesting. It's just the whole situation is interesting.
Well, what do you think about the timing of all of the hoopla?
What do you think about the timing? Because I
mean, I feel like first of all, I see how you did that. You flipped that. I see that. Okay, fine. But I think the timing, the thing is, I'm really glad that I didn't know that all this happened when I watched Beyond the Lights, because I think it would have made it harder for me to appreciate him as a leading man and a love interest in that movie, which I totally adored. But because of that, I'm like, there have been multiple opportunities for them to come out and be like, well, you did this, so long ago, and these are all the things that happened afterwards. Like, why now? Like, why wait for right now to bring it out? I mean, I think we know why.
Why?
I think that of course, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. I really feel as though there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that is going on with the Academy Awards and the Academy in general, that there's one, segment of folks that are really pushing the Nate Parker scenario for, to kind of like make the people who are Oscar so white, make them be quiet. Like they need somebody that they can vote for this next go round. I think there's a lot of pushback. I think just in general right now, like we're in a climate where people are looking for, salacious stuff to talk about on a daily basis.
We're in a culture that's quick to condemn and judge and crucify. And it's
in like an hour.
Right. It's like, but wait, you don't even know the whole facts just because, this is not particular to this case, but in general, I see it. It's like a lynch mob online. Like people are so quick to eviscerate others without any consideration that you're talking to or talking about a real life human being.
Right.
So they jump on the bandwagon. Not many people do research. It's been a puzzle to me because I was reading about it when I was on vacation and thinking about it, and I'm like, this is because I was trying to figure out, okay, he was found not guilty. Why is he being crucified?
You keep coming back to that. Like when he was found not guilty, like why are we still talking about this?
Right.
Like, if we trust the justice system,
and he had an extended trial, and it wasn't he was found guilty and was given probation, and people saw him having sex with an unconscious woman behind a trash can and putting foreign objects in her, where that's a clear cut.
That's a very vivid description.
That's what the young man Stanford.
Got it. Okay,
right. That's where I'm. And then he's found guilty, but he,
just
he
a
goes,
boy and whatever.
Right. And that was deplorable. That when I think about it, I'm like amazing. But you have someone who was acquitted of it after a trial. I'm like, I'm going to go see the movie. Like I want to do my own Nat Turner movie since I started film school.
Okay.
Me and Ed Durante.
Oh my God, that would be crazy.
For some time we were going to do a Nat Turner movie. So I want to see the movie, and I have very strong feelings about sexual assault. I mean, incredibly strong feelings about it. But I'm not in the crucified crowd.
Right.
I'm not in the crucified crowd. I'm discerning. I'm trying to figure this out. Like, what's the math going on here? Like, I think there was something.
Well, there is an X factor that we're not really talking about.
What is that X factor?
Listen, so this is what I have to say about that before we get into that.
I'm gonna have to edit some of this, like off topic.
Right? Let's come back around here. Is there any other movie that you're looking forward to seeing?
Zhang Mao's movie,
the one with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
I don't know.
Okay.
The Wall. I'm just like, I love Zhang Mao. I know people are up in arms about Matt Damon. I don't know what role he's playing in it.
Matt Damon.
But I'm like, I don't care. He don't even need to be in the film because I know, and it looks epic. Like I can just put in earplugs and just watch shot by shot,
And what's next for you? You're finishing up this season.
I'm finishing up season 1 of Compersion. Going to be launching a Kickstarter. Hopefully, by the time this podcast airs, the Indiegogo. I'm going to be launching an Indiegogo campaign, and hopefully, by the time that this podcast airs,
September 15th.
Yeah, it should be up by then. Trying to raise $125,000 to make season 2
because she has cinematic taste.
Because I have cinematic taste, and also because my audience has told me over and over and over that they wanted, quote, a lot more when it came to the length of the episodes.
Oh.
So I was like, we need at least 20 minutes. And when you're doing it, it's still going to be incredibly low budget, right? Because a low budget television series costs about $250,000 per episode. So we're trying to do 6, 18 to 20 something minute episodes for $125,000. We have to pay people,
and feed the people.
Feed the people. And post-production, like I can't be responsible for all the post-production like I was on this one, because it's going to be larger. But so that's going to be launching. And then I'm really trying to shoot a feature next year, hopefully. Imprint, which is the thriller.
Okay.
And then there's a couple of new shows that I want to put on Enchant TV. One is Camille, and it's a dark comedy about a woman who's unlucky in love, career, and finances. And then there's one called The House of Dominique, which follows the inner workings of a femdom dungeon. It's an ensemble piece. And
femdom dungeon.
Mm-hmm. So it's
tell people what that is.
So basically, what that is
I don't know what that is.
As she pulls out her whip. So basically, it would be where the dungeon where it would be female ran. So it'd be just female dominatrix, women dominatrix. So they would be doing all the dominating. So there would be no male dominatrix.
So it's like the reverse of the 50 Shades of Grey.
I have not seen or read 50 Shades of Grey, so I have no idea what
I'm
it's
sure
about.
Whatever you have on the back of a paper bag is better. Sorry. Shade.
I did not give you shade. I did not give that 50 Shades. But so, yeah, it's basically, it's going to be an ensemble piece following different women, some who are very new to BDSM, others who are lifestyle. So it should be interesting.
I'm seeing a little bit of a theme here, alternative lifestyle.
Well, there's two. But see, one thing I love to do, because the Camille is not, and then I'm going to have some one season movies of the week kind of thing, where it's just like 5 episodes, one season cap-offs. But I'm really, Enchant TV is about original programming with a kick. And so I like taking things that seem otherworldly and so out of place and normalizing them. Bringing the humanness to them. Because I think when people think of people who are polyamorous or into BDSM, they're always othered. They don't get the fact that they are normal. They just have a different kink than you. That they experience pain and love just like you. That they have hearts just like you. So, people, it's so funny because when I was doing Compersion, people are like, well, where's the freaky stuff going to happen? I'm like, it's a family drama. You're looking at the wrong shows. There's going to be some sexy shit happening, and there's going to be some, more salacious things happening, but it's not the type of show where it's all about the extreme. It's about everyday people with just something, a little bit of spice in their lives. And the same thing with the House of Dominique. You have this very strange ideal for most people, but making it very normal.
So, sounds like you're busy and going to still be busy.
Yeah.
So, my question for you, which it's actually written down in advance, do you believe in love for just 2 people?
Versus
all the other types of love that you've been talking about in your shows? Oh, no,
I believe in whatever your heart believes in. Like, whatever you like, I love it for you. I've been madly in love before, and my heart was just for you. I've had that before, But I also believe that there are people who experience love in different ways and who have the capacity to love more than one person. I think we all have the capacity to love more than one person. I think we have the training, our cultural framework that says that this is the type of relationship that you move toward. This particular culture, because other cultures are different. You have, men married to multiple wives, and, that's the norm.
Have you seen, I'm sorry, this is going to go a little bit long because I still have more questions.
That's okay. Let's make sure we are still rolling. We're still rolling.
Okay. So, Are we still rolling?
Yes.
Okay. So two things. Have you seen the album cover for Young Thug?
Is that with the Pressing Girl? No, that's...
No. That's Young Jock.
Forgive me, y'all, because I don't know a Young Thug from a Young Jock. I'm sorry.
Jeffrey is the name of the album.
I have not. You want to show it to me?
I would love to show it to you. He has on an outfit that is real interesting. And so I was just wondering, as you're talking about people kind of...
Well, he's the one who has purple
powder
hair,
blue.
or he's gender nonconforming in his style.
Yes.
He wears dresses and stuff.
Yes.
I love him. Like, my cinematographer hits me to all this stuff because I don't know anything about anything.
Really?
When it comes to the young... No, I don't.
This one.
Fierce. Love it. Love everything about it. That's his album cover?
That's his album cover. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely yes. My favorite album cover
Of all time.
Oh my God. You better do it. You better go. I love it. That is going to be my new screensaver. I'm gonna put that on Facebook. That's going to be me.
Yes.
Yes. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. The challenging of what it means, the challenging ideals of what it means to be masculine. And to have a young black man do that, who is like deep in hip hop.
Yeah.
Like, it's expanding the boundaries of it, because we had a really hyper masculinity, era.
Yes, we did.
Like, you like Prince with clothes on.
Nah, let's not go that far.
No, but you know how Prince like was gender nonconforming. Like, he would come out with panties and thigh-high boots. Like, he's like 3/4 covered gender nonconforming.
Okay, that's fair.
Look at that. Like, who styled him? Yes.
They did a great job.
This is everything. This will make me listen to his album.
Oh, but the album sounds nothing like the photo.
Which I love. Because you're contradicting.
Yeah.
You're going against what the perception of you is. Like, the multiple sides of yourself. I love it. I love it. I love it.
She loves it. I want to talk to you about something about your directing style.
I would say my directing style is poetic and precise.
And how do you get to this poetic preciseness?
By being obsessive about mise en scene and really thinking about...
Tell us what that means.
So mise en scene is basically everything that goes into a shot. So the lens you use, production design, the angle, the framing, the costuming. It's just everything that goes into one shot. And I really love articulated frames. Everything has its position in the frame. And there's a reason why it is where it is. There's a reason why it's a low angle or eye level or a high angle. There's a reason why there's red on the edge of the frame. There's a reason why in my movie, If I Leap, that all the nuns, are in certain colors, and you will only find red in costuming, and nowhere else in the movie will there be anything red in the frame.
That's awesome. Because I feel like I forget the name of the movie, but you made something that was really, really pretty. And it was with Brian.
Oh my God, my second year film.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
The Dying Color.
The Dying Color.
That thing used to give me grants galore. I don't know how, but...
Oh my gosh, it was so gorgeous. And I just kept being like, it's so pretty. And you're like, We used to get into like fussing fights about it. Like, can you just say something else besides it's pretty? And I'm like, no. It sounds like you've become even more complex in the way you create your frames from what you did in Dying Color.
I just think, the more you direct, the more you grow and the more knowledge you get. And it's like practice makes perfect. Or not, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but, practice makes you stronger.
Can people find that online?
No, you will never find it anywhere, so don't look.
Well, I will just tell you guys, it's very pretty. Take my word for it.
It is very pretty. And it was very poetic, and I don't know. Like, I have the really bad copies. The VHS. I have the original HD. I think they were HD tapes. Mm-hmm. But to
like
sync it up.
HD can?
No, not HD. Whatever. I can't remember. What is the big one? Betas. Which y'all know about them betas. So I have betas.
Y'all don't know about the betas.
So I have. So
like you know about the betas.
I would have to just cut a trailer off the betas because I don't even have the original time code of the file to link it
really?
up. No. Oh. So I would have to. I can make like a trailer of the Dying Color, and I have a really bad quality of it somewhere.
To hear that.
I'm not. That's okay because I'm never satisfied with anything I do. Like, I get content where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop obsessing over it. Let me just put it out because,
right?
It is what it is. But you'll never hear me be like, "Oh, I'm so happy! This is the best thing ever!" Like, I'll see a scene of mine, or when I'm watching something, I forget that I wrote it. Mm-hmm. Those are great. I'm like, "Oh, did I write this?" Mm-hmm. I was like, "That's interesting. That's good." And then I'll see something a moment later. I'm like, "Okay, go kill yourself." But that's just my problem. Like, "Oh, you suck." Like, really? That's where you put the camera?
Then how do you pick yourself back up when you have these moments of questioning?
Oh, it's not necessarily questioning. It's just saying you suck in that moment. And then you move on. Like, then you see something like, you're like, next time I will not suck as much. But, it's just next time. But no, it's like
suck less.
But yeah, I had a filmmaker friend of mine who was in a few years older than me at NYU, and he loves his work. Like, everything he does, like, this is the best thing I've done. This is my greatest work. And I'm always like, that would never be me. I'd be like, all right, this is okay. I could deal with this. I'm content with this. Mm-hmm. I wish I would have pulled the camera down and. You know what? Mm-hmm. The framing is not exactly right, and you really were lazy with that performance. You should have pushed your actors, and you shouldn't have been a punk. Mm-hmm. But okay, I like the color palette. Or I'm like, I'm content. This can go out. I'm content. But you'll never be like, this is the best thing.
So you're saying that, like, this other person, you find their process to be, or what they were saying about what he was saying about what he was doing, is like, it's awesome.
He was like, this is the best work I've done. This is my best film I've done. Hmm. And I'm like, that's amazing. Because and in a way where it was like very celebratory. And I celebrate, like, I'm like, I got that done. Mm-hmm. I'm happy with these moments. I wish I could have done this better. Mm-hmm. Because for me as an artist, even when I'm, that's the great thing about writing, because, when I write novels, I'm like, okay, I go back and I change that semicolon, that period, and I put this there, that there, Jackie, this sucks. But then there's moments where I'm like, I forget that I wrote it. Mm-hmm. And I write a lot, so sometimes I'm like, oh, God, did I write that? And I'm like so pleased with 4 lines of, 3 pages where I'm like in love with these 4 lines. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that I wrote that. Mm-hmm. Because there's times where I just have so much stuff that I've written, I forget characters' names sometimes. And I'm like,
when you talk about the preciseness of what you do, how do you, as a female director, do you find any challenges on getting people to go with the preciseness that you're looking for on set?
I don't know what it's like to be a male director, but I think there are times where women may be challenged in ways that men are not in certain instances, because a lot of times sets are very male heavy, mm-hmm. men heavy, very men heavy, and our industry behind the scenes is very skews very.
Mm-hmm. There are more guys in the business than
women.
I was just curious about that because I do. When you talk about that precision, like, it's something that I've not necessarily struggled with, but I find myself, like, in my head, like, it's super duper precise, and then I have to remind myself, like, and everybody needs to get to exactly where you are with mm-hmm. how you want it to be, mm-hmm. and there are times where I'm like, well, come on, get to where I'm trying to be. You know what I mean? Like, come on, get on board. And if you don't have the time or space or whatever to pull a person to the side or make sure that your crew is exactly who you want it to be in order to know that everyone has the same goal of excellence, right? Like, so I was just curious about.
But then, like, you know, and sometimes that precise poeticness is not always achieved. You know, you're like, this is not what I want, but this is what I'm going to have to deal with because we're running out of time and we don't have the lens that we should have. And the little girl is sick and we got 30 more minutes. So, okay, boom. And then I'm being a little sloppy because I'm like a little frazzled because I'm like, okay, I'm doing 15 jobs. We got to get this girl out. And then I look at my post and I'm like, that shot should have been tilted down. Where was the director? See, that's when I start cussing myself out. I'm like, where were you, director? Was there a director even in? Were you in the room? Did you go, where were you? Were you eating at the craft service table? So that's when I start beating myself up. But, you know, for the most part, I mean, the people that I've worked with, and then sometimes where, you know, you work with people, they have a very strong opinion of what they think. And then you have to get them like, no, that's not what it is. It's this. And that's something because they, you know, everybody interprets the material differently, right? My production designer, Mark, is amazing. He has a great thing for story. And he's so strong-willed. He's a very strong personality. And we'll go, he'll be like, no, Mark, that's not it. But then Mark has great ideas where I'm like, I would have never thought about that. And it's about getting collaborators around you that know what they're doing and do what they need to do and know how to collaborate with you. Because there's some ideas where I'm like, I would have never thought about that. There's a shot that my cinematographer set up. My brain was nowhere near that. When he set it up, I was like, what the hell is this? This is not what I wanted. And then I'm like, this is pretty dope. I just stepped away for a minute to do one of the other multiple jobs I was doing on set, and I came back to a shot that was set up, and I was like, that's a good one, Bruce.
Thanks.
Even though I made him change it, I cut out the shot, and I was like, this is not what I want. But when I was cutting, I was like, you dumbass. That was a beautiful shot, and he told you it was a beautiful shot, but I wasn't getting exactly what I wanted, what I had in mind. But I'm glad I got the head of it. I should have carried the whole scene in that master because it was a brilliantly executed shot. Because, you know, and it's also the thing about directing is you have to be the one steering the ship, but you also have to be a collaborator. It's like, it's not like writing. Like, my background's writing. I could write alone. I don't need you. All I need is a pen, a paper, a computer, and I'm good. But filmmaking is collaborative, and if you have to know what you want. You can't be wishy-washy. You can't just go with the tide. But you always don't have the best solution to it, right? To what's going on. And when you have really strong people, strong production designers, strong AD, strong DP, costumer, I mean, so you don't have to be thinking about everything underneath the sun. It's great because people are bringing you things that you would have never thought of. Like, I have an overall vision of what I want. Like, you know, for Burning Angel Dust, a certain color. Like, I work a lot with color. Like, color is something that I'm really good at. After we wrap this, we're going to pull up some stuff online so just you can see my cinematic crush. He's like,
this is why I love directors. My show, even though it has 5 people listening to it so far. I love it because I get stuff like this. And you're like, yes, I'm going to show you. And I'm like, yes, show me. Yes. It's exciting.
You have 5 people listening now, but you will have more.
Oh, yeah, it's coming. I mean, it's been awesome. I say 5. It's actually 11.
What up to that 11?
Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. I was saying something about color. You cut me off, but now I can't remember.
You were saying that your cinematic crush uses every color to great effect.
But before that, I was saying I'm using color as story. But I don't remember. She cut me off, y'all. See how she did me?
Sometimes.
And now she texted. We are doing
I'm trying to find the movie. I'm not.
Well, we're gonna find it after. Oh, you're gonna watch it on the big computer screen, not on your phone.
Okay, so this is what happens when you talk to somebody that you talk to forever. They will check you in a hot second and be like, I'm not down with that. Okay, so thank you so much, Miss Jackie Stone. Tell everybody one more time how they can find your work and how they can support your work going forward.
You could find me at jackiejstone.com, and you can find links to my work there. You can find the digital series Compersion online on youtube.com/EnchantTVX.
How do you spell Compersion?
Compersion. If you Google Compersion series, it'll come up, or Enchant TV, you will find us. You should check it out. It's a really interesting show with some really talented people in front of the camera.
And behind the camera.
Thank you. And behind the camera. We've had a blast on the first season. We hope to get that second season going. And
then how can they find you on Twitter?
You can find Enchant TV on Twitter at The Enchant TV. And that's also our Instagram.
Okay, awesome.
So you could follow us and get some great images and keep up with all things Enchant TV.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you, Marquita Banana.
There it is. Yes, that is not my name, but nobody else get the idea to call me Marquita Banana.
I've been calling her Marquita Banana for, oh my God.
15 years?
About. I don't know how that started. Marquita Banana. Marquita. And it's I don't know. She's adorable. Listen to her amazing podcast. She has some great directors.
I do.
And some good stuff from filmmaker Marquette. Thanks, everybody.
And scene.
And scene.
Okay, so that does it this time around. Thank you guys so much for listening to the very end. And if you didn't catch any of those links, I'm going to put links to Jackie's web series and other ways that you can contact her on the Directing Magic website. I hope to see you there. Hope to see you online. You can reach out to me at Marquette_Jones on Twitter, or you can go to the Facebook page at the Directing Magic Podcast. Thanks again. And until the next time, I hope you're doing something you're excited about.
You've been listening to Directing Magic with Marquette Jones. Be sure to visit directingmagic.com for past episodes and other information relating to the show. Also, be sure to subscribe and rate and comment on iTunes. Until next time, bye-bye.